So recently, I've been seeing a lot of tier lists for 1.1, DPS tier lists, or just general tier lists. And the ranking of the 5-star characters on those tier lists is usually quite accurate, but a lot of them have the 4-star characters, especially the DPS, ranked quite wrong, in my opinion. And so I decided to make my own 4-star only DPS tier list. And the reason I wanted to make this 4-star tier list is because I use mostly all of these characters. The only one I haven't used really is Arlan, Sampo, and Yukong. But other than that, I've used all of them, and I used them all to clear the Memory of Chaos. And so I thought I would have a slightly better read on which of these characters would be the best to use. And one thing that people need to remember when you're doing the Memory of Chaos in HonkaiStarRail is that even if a character does have RNG, you can just reset the floor and do it again. It's not really a big deal. Like, there's nothing stopping you from doing that. Okay, to start off the tier list, right at the bottom, we're going to have Arlan. Honestly, for Arlan, the main problem is that he requires too much effort and planning for the amount of damage he does. The payoff for the amount of effort is not equal. Can Arlan be good? Yes, he can be good. Mostly because he can be a skill point neutral unit and he can be used quite well as a sub DPS. But still, like, you have to plan around him. Like, you have to have someone either healing him or you have to have a March shield on him at all points. And his damage just really isn't that high to warrant all the attention. Next patch, maybe he will be better because the Longavist Disciple set is coming out, which is going to be really good for him because he does inflict damage on himself to do damage. But for now, I think he is a solid C tier on this list. And honestly, I think that he is the DPS that you should least build just because he requires so much effort. And as for like free-to-play players, like some of us don't even have Luocha or Bailu, especially for 4-star only accounts. My only healer is Natasha. So I can't warrant building Arlan and giving him all that attention when I don't even have a healer for one side. So to me, he is the lowest. Next up is going to be Herta. And I'm a bit conflicted on where to put her. I'm stuck between C and B. I actually think she does have a place, especially this Memory of Chaos cycle. She's really, really good as like a sub DPS for AoE clears. Like, I use her with Serval on a lot of floors, and Serval like uses her AoE abilities and it gets enemies down to around like half, or sometimes it just like, gets them near death, and then Herta just comes and cleans up with her follow-up attack. But when I've tried to make Herta work as like a solo DPS main carry, it doesn't work. Like, I've seen the videos of like Herta clearing floors by herself, but like those are Hertas with a 5-star Jingyuan light cone and crazy relics. And I'm sure if you gave those relics to any other character, they would do a similar thing. So for that, I'm going to put Herta in C tier, but above Arlan. I think she is better than him for now, and especially for this Memory of Chaos cycle, but I just can't warrant her being in B tier. To start off B tier, we have Yukong. I think she actually does really good DPS, especially for a Harmony unit, and I didn't actually expect her to do as much damage as she does. I haven't built her, but I've seen a lot of videos of her, and her ultimate hits like a truck. And on top of that, she brings utility still, even if she is the damage dealer. So she's really, really solid. I just don't think that she can be a dedicated damage dealer for a lot of these floors without insane relics. Once again, and I've seen her like shine as like a sub DPS for like Welt and Luocha teams, like imaginary teams, but by herself, I don't know if she's worthy of A tier. And then to round out B tier, we have Sampo. Sampo's a really good character, I think. His toughness break is insane. He can not use skill points. He can be skill point neutral. and his damage is pretty solid too. Just right now, he doesn't have an enabler, and dot characters are kind of slow because they have to wait for the enemy's turn to take the dot damage. But with the release of Kafka in next patch, you can expect Sampo to definitely move up this tier list, especially if you're using him with Kafka. And he'll probably have really good synergy with Luca too. But for now, I'm going to put Sampo at B tier. Okay, to start off A- tier, I'm going to put Hook in here. I think Hook is really, really good, and she's really solid, and she's really easy to play. But she just feels a bit weaker than those that are above her. I haven't tried the hybrid build, but like if I build her for just crit like a normal damage dealer, she just does not deliver the same level of impact as the other ones on this list. And it doesn't help that there isn't really a lot of fire floors that don't either have electric or lightning or quantum weakness. And then on those floors, I prefer to use Serval or Qingque, just because they are a bit more versatile than Hook, and they're much better at clearing ads by themselves, and their single target is respectable. And for that reason, I'm going to put Hook at A-. Once we get another Pyro unit and I try to make a mono fire team, she could possibly move up. But for now, I think this is a good place for her. Okay, and next is going to be Dan Heng. And Dan Heng is actually going to join Hook in A-. I think Dan Heng is really good. He has insane damage, especially if you line up his slow and his passive. But that's the thing. You have to line up his damage, and you have to make sure that you have the skill points required at the time to trigger his talent. And unlike the characters above him, those characters really don't have any conditions. Like, they're ready to go whenever, really. So Dan Heng also, Wind Element doesn't have really the best break, and I just can't warrant him. I don't think he's on the same tier as like Sushang or Qingque when it comes to single target damage. Yes, Sushang probably does less damage with their abilities in her ultimate, but her break damage is insane, and she destroys toughness bars like nobody's business. And for that, I think that Dan Heng is weaker than Sushang. Okay, to start off A tier, I'm going to put Serval. I'm going to preface that I have an E6 Serval, but she's so useful if you don't have Jingyuan. Like, you have to build her, like, if you don't have Jingyuan. On the floors that contain any of the robot enemies, she absolutely destroys them. And she works so well with Tingyun and Pela, who are great supports. And she's just super versatile, and she's just going to get stronger next patch with the release of Kafka. And if you don't have Jingyuan, you gotta build her. And she's really good. And honestly, I think she's much more fun to play than Jingyuan, and she's much more versatile as well. If she gets CC'd, oh well, like, it doesn't really change up much for her. But for Jingyuan, it can give him a shitty Lightning Lord, which can really be a problem for his clear. And then joining Serval in A tier is going to be Sushang. And Sushang is just a monster. She's really, really good for a 4-star DPS. If an enemy has physical weakness, she totally destroys it. Like, she destroys the toughness bar like nobody's business. And then physical break is a lot of damage in its own right. And if you have Eidolon 1, she stops using skill points when the enemy is toughness broken. So you can easily always spam her skill on an enemy like that. So she's just really, really solid and really good. And the physical typing is really good. And we've seen a lot of people force physical weakness on enemies with Silverwolf and use Sushang with Clara. And like, she's just a beast. And I really, really like her. Okay, and rounding out the tier list at the top for me is Qingque. And people are gonna be like, oh, she's super RNG. Qingque, you can have a streak of bad luck, and she's not that good. But we've seen from all the videos, her damage potential is just much higher than all the others on the list. And it's not even like a competition, especially once you get to E4. She blows the others out in terms of damage. But like, oh, you can get bad luck and you can get a streak, but there's no problem in restarting these floors and just going again. Like, there's no penalty to that. You can restart as many times as you want until you get good RNG. And when you get good RNG on Qingque, she absolutely destroys the floor. Especially when you have those Eidolons. Eidolon 4 is huge. That follow-up attack does a massive amount of damage. And if you've gotten Eidolon 4, I recommend building her the most. Especially if you don't have STYLE. That's the one caveat. STYLE is still definitely stronger than her. STYLE is the strongest DPS unit in the game, bar none. But Qingque can easily compete with other 5-star DPS units, especially after Eidolon 4. So to me, she is the queen of the 4-star DPSs right now, and nobody is really close to her in that regard. We have super solid units like Sushang, Serval, Danheng, and Hook, but she is standing above them quite handedly, in my opinion. And I think she takes the top spot, and she deserves it, just because her damage potential is insane. And for now, that will be my tier list for 1.1 DPS characters. If you guys don't agree, let me know in the comments what you don't agree with and what you think should be changed in the tier list. And I will be making one for the next patch after the Kafka banner release. Thank you so much for watching, and have yourself a wonderful day.